G'day everyone and welcome back to the Big Swing No Ding podcast, sending those bales back to New South Wales since 2019 as we're back with the Ding. It's another episode and it's the first episode of the Ding in the middle of a cricket game. I've got it right here. Steve Smith's on 94 by the side of me, but as you can tell by the title, I want to talk about Matthew Wade, and it's because he is really annoying me. I saw after Cam Green went out for a duck, and it was quickly on Instagram, and there was questions: is he ready for Test cricket? Did they rush him in too early? Stuff like that, which is just inevitable with every innings that someone doesn't perform. Like I'd presume, like Tim Payne just went out. I'm sure there's going to be someone questioning his spot, like as always when he does fail. But what I wanted to talk about was Matthew Wade and his position batting 5. He looked okay starting the innings in Melbourne and in Adelaide. At opening the batting, he looked like he was getting off to a decent start. He was setting a decent tone. But the thing about an opener is you're supposed to hold it the entire innings. You can sort of get away with that, giving it a bit more of a hit batting at 5 or 6, which is where he's predominantly been in the past with Travis Head in the team. But now that he's out and in the first 2 tests, he was setting the tone first off, but he also had to stick with guys like Marnus because, A, Joe Burns wasn't staying in for more than a couple overs, and B, because the rest of our middle order wasn't staying in for more than a couple overs either. And what's really frustrating about that is he's always looking to be this warrior type figure, which is cool, but the thing is, he just isn't. He just isn't that. Like, he takes the balls he hit from Wagner last year. He's always so stone-faced, he'll take anything and then he'll play through it. And the idea of his aggressive game style in Test match cricket is to put the pressure back on the bowlers, which is fine if you're not being stupid. Tim Payne in the first Test, he exemplified this perfectly. So what do he make, 72, 79, or something like that? And where Australia have struggled this series is because of their slow run rate. It's been under like 1.5 or under 2 for majority, and I don't really care about like how fast a team scores in Test cricket as long as they're being comfortable and they're playing themselves through. And if at the end of the day you score runs, then that's fine. But what it was exemplifying was India's so they're just bowling into them, and they're not really giving him much space to play, and they're just sort of waiting until they can get some more width. But they're not getting that. So what Tim Payne did, he's just sort of knocking around. He's not being silly, but he's striking at around 60 or something like that, which is cool. Like, that's a cool strike rate to have if you're not being stupid. Anything above that, like, you sort of go, okay, is the bowling just bad, or is he just slogging, or something like that? Nice boundary from Cummins. But Matthew Wade, every dismissal that I can think of in his last probably 2 years, last year and a half that he's been back in the Test team, it's because he's just getting sucked in to trying to take it to the bowlers, or I don't know, like be the alpha of the field or something. I'm not sure exactly what he thinks he's trying to do, but it's not working. And when you try to do that too much in Test cricket, it can be your downfall. Like, you look at someone like Steve Smith, right? He's, again, comparing Matthew Wade to Steve Smith, it's not really fair, but he's patiently waited his innings. He picked off his runs where he could. He was going at about a run a ball for his first 30, 40 balls, which is, like, that's great, and he looked really comfortable. But then since then, now he's 95 of 187, and that's because he's just, he's playing smartly, and then where the runs are, then he'll knock it around, and then he'll make himself comfortable. Then he'll put the pressure on the bowlers like that. Whereas Matthew Wade, as soon as he came in, your team's 3 for 220. You just lost the guy you went out on 91. You've just lost your second best batsman. You're only 5 overs away from the new ball, and the next man in is a guy who's played. This is his 3rd Test, right? So if I'm Matthew Wade, I'm thinking, right, I just need to block out these overs, or actually, no, because Ravi Ashwin was kind of bowling average. He's been kind of bowling average this Sydney Test, which is kind of weird because it's been the best wicket for spin we've seen this series, and it's been the worst of his performance so far. But regardless, I think Wade should have just looked to make just for a straight Ashton rather than slog sweep him or something like that. Instead, he ended up hauling out to Jadeja in the end because he just got way too greedy. And it's just when you're looking to go through to the next new ball, like Jasprit Bumrah, he's an absolute world-class bowler. There's no two ways about it. He is one of the top. He's probably a top 3 bowler all formats in the world right now, right? Averages 21 in Test cricket. Like, he's like, that's probably not quite representative, but he's a very good bowler, especially with the new ball. And what you don't want to expose someone like Cam Green, who has faced so little of that sort of immaculate bowling at Test level, just so freely, and you're just putting him right in a tough scenario where he has now come in at 4 for 240. The team's lost 2 quick wickets in succession, and now he's facing a new ball from Jasprit Bumrah. And Matthew Wade is like, oh yeah, I know what the right thing to do is now. I'm going to slog sweep him every ball, or I'm going to try and just loft it over the field. Like, one of the reasons why Steve Smith is so successful is he analyzes the field, but he picks it so well, and he knows his limitations. Like, sure, he can hit a ball over the ring field, right? Like, we saw that in the ODIs. We say that, like, he's Steve Smith. We know he can do that. But he knows it's such a smaller percentage shot that if he scoops under it, or if he gets a toe to it, he's going to get caught in the covers. And if only he gets an inch wrong, then that's out. Whereas if he works off his pads, sure, it might get closer. Like, if he middles it, it might get closer to like a leg gully, like we saw yesterday. He was hitting the ball quite cleanly, but it was going like just wide of that leg gully region, and I think Bumrah and Siraj were sort of like, oh, that's so close. But really, it's actually really controlled batting, and he knows it's a higher percentage shot that he can play. And if he can keep playing that, and he knows that he's getting the bat on the ball, that's a way safer way to put not only play yourself in and get runs on the board, but put pressure back on the bowlers and frustrate them. Whereas Matthew Wade is like, okay, I need to establish myself in this innings. I'm going to go for broke, right? I'm going to play it like it's a T20. I'm going to play it like it's a white ball match. And so what that does is he's thrown it away. He's exposed Cam Green to Jasprit Bumrah, and now Green's out for a duck. Payne's out for one with a new ball, missed a straight one, which was pretty poor. To be honest, it was a good ball from Bumrah, but it was not a great shot from Payne. But now Australia have lost 4 for 87 this morning, and Cummins is batting with Smith. So, like, really, you have to kind of wonder, does Matthew Wade still have the temperament for Test cricket? Because this isn't just a spur of the moment thing, right? I have continually backed Travis Head for the entirety of his Test career, right? Because as soon as he debuted in Dubai, and people always remember that Test because it was the Usman Khawaja, like, that was an absolute freak innings to get us to the draw. But what people forget is and then people will also say, okay, well, Tim Payne, he made a good statement as a captain. He saw us out to the draw. That was a really good start for him. But what people forget is Travis Head also made that start of that match. He made 70 off, I think, 240, something ridiculous like that. And that was in his first Test match. That is a showing so far beyond your years. And even though you're experienced, you're sort of finding your feet at Test level. Maybe the bowling wasn't as good as, this Indian attack. It shows the temperament for Test level. Matthew Wade, I haven't seen that once since his magical run of form. We can talk about the Ashes, and he scored 2 tons that series. I think he still ended up averaging 35, even with 2 tons in it somehow. But we can talk about he played a good act there, and although one of his tons was in a dead rubber, that we ultimately lost really comfortably. And that he was fit for the role back then. But what I see with Matthew Wade is he's more of your supporting act. He's more of a guy who will score runs when it's a good batting wicket, right? I don't see Matthew Wade as a guy who can win a test match or get a result off his own bat. Travis Head, although he has only he's two innings at the moment. Like one was against Sri Lanka, where it was a run fest anyway, and the other was last year against New Zealand, where no one else scored a ton, but it was still a pretty good deck to bat on. And you can sort of say that to him. Well, Travis Head hasn't really performed when the goings are being tough yet. I think just long-term wise and just for character and just analyzing character as well. I think Travis Head has got a far better temperament for Test cricket, and if you develop that right, not only will he be a good rock to have at number 5, and protect, like I say here, he could have protected Cam Green, but he can also be a Test captain if you develop him right again. But Matthew Wade he's beyond his years, man. He's what, 30? Oh God, Cummins has just been bold. Matthew Wade, I think he's 33, something 33, 34. He's not going to get any more temperament at this point. He's not going to get a test mindset. He's not going to develop anything. How he is now is what you're going to get for the rest of his career. And you have to ask yourself, am I okay with him scoring the occasional 40 off, 35 balls? Or am I okay with him scoring, 150 a summer? Am I okay with him just scoring 20 and then throwing his wicket away every other innings? Because that's what it feels like he's just going to do from this point on. And it's really concerning. It's really concerning for me. I don't... having said that, I would kind of prefer if Wade played the next test, just because I'm not a big fan of the chop change. Head's been dropped for one match, Wade gets one chance at number 5, and then they swap him back immediately. I'm not a big fan of the of just rotating just because you can, or someone has a down performance. Like that these are just my honest thoughts on Matthew Wade and Travis Head in general, and they've just been really exemplified today because I was really disappointed in Wade. I thought it was a really good opportunity to take that number 5 spot and score 50, or just like show that he's still a Test cricketer, right? Because he's been bumped down from opening, where he looked really good to start, which he always does. He always looks like, all right, he's in for a big one today. He's just going to dominate the bowlers. But then he just does something really silly. And to be honest, I'm getting kind of fed up with it. And it looks like Pekovsky's taken his opening spot now. Pekovsky looked so good yesterday, and it was I'm sure I can speak for the most of the Australian public when I say it was just awesome. It was awesome to not only see him on the field, in the Test match arena, for finally in the test arena, not only making runs, but to see him with a smile in his face, and after the day's play saying how good's this, this is the most fun I've ever had in cricket. That's just so good to feel. And David Warner's David Warner. He's not going to go anywhere soon, although he did look sort of he did look a bit unfit in his first innings. That's not what brought about his downfall. That's not why he lost his wicket. It was just between the wickets, he didn't look like he was quite comfortable enough. But say, just say that these two can stay at the top of the order. You like Marnus and Smith. That a top 4 seems relatively set for the time being, right? So, and Cam Green, although he has not had an amazing debut series, he's shown a lot of promise with both the bat and ball. He hasn't taken a wicket yet, but he's bowled really good lines. He's bowled with good temperament, and I think we all know that in due time he will make the breakthrough. And he had a good innings in Melbourne. He didn't quite make it to the half-ton. Was undone pretty well. But I think we can all trust that Cam Green will develop to be our number 6 in the future. So that really only leaves the 5 spot open at the moment. which is kind of crazy to think about given how many holes it felt like we had at the start of the summer. And now it's just between Head and Wade. And so you have to ask yourself, how am I going to win a test match? Who's more likely to clinch me this series? Who's more likely to lead from the front and take and lead the nation, right? Matthew Wade isn't that. Travis Head could be. He's got a lot of potential. He's been highly touted as potentially the next captain. If he gets going, if he can solidify his spot, there's a lot of like questions about that. But I think we all know that he is a leader and he's got a lot of room there to take Australia under his wing. Matthew Wade isn't going to go anywhere. I think that's just about it on Wade. I'm not sure if I want to talk about anything else. Steve Smith's on 99, so I might just hold tight for that one at the moment. Pat Cummins has made another duck. How long do y'all think before Pat Cummins makes a test 100? Because it will happen one day. It will happen. He's got a gorgeous technique. I don't know. We'll just see. What else do we want to talk about? Kyle Jamieson. Why is he so good? I don't get it. He's just good somehow. I don't know if it's just because of the decks he's playing on. I would say like average batting attack, but he dominated India last year, so I don't know what's up with that. But there's nothing that I can pick that he's like actually that good, and he just seems to get wickets, which is kind of crazy. He could be like the best bowler in the world right now, which after 6 tests, averaging 13, that's just otherworldly. I can barely even fathom that. Yeah, that test, Neil Wagner broke both of his toes and it was almost a draw. That was a great test to watch. Been a really good summer for test cricket in Australia, New Zealand and South Africa. And although Sri Lanka haven't really been quite there this series, it's just been because of their injuries. They've just been so unfortunate. And I strongly believe if they didn't go down with like 5 injuries during the first test, I think they would have won that match, or at least they would have taken it really close. Kusal Pereira had looked really good, and then right in the innings that we thought he might need to, he just needed to continue that. Then he just scored a duck. Dimuth Karunaratne finally scored a ton. It feels like 3 or 4 years since I've been able to say that. Remember when Karunaratne was the best opener in the world at one point? It was like top 5 test batsman rankings. Can't believe that. Now he averages like 34. Hasaranka, he's really nice action to watch. It reminds me of Kuldeep Yadav in a way, but not as exaggerated in his action. But regardless, Steve Smith is 99 and on strike for the last ball this over. I think I'm gonna end it here, and then because if he gets out here, then I might have to cry or something like that. Anyway, thank you all so much for listening or watching. I think just a random sit down episode, just something that was on my mind. Okay, they're about to run in now. Look, stick with me for this ball. Stick with me. Smith is so fidgety, bro. I don't he's so fidgety, man. Seriously, it's funny, you can just tell by Steve Smith's mannerisms when he's on in his innings, and it's just because he's being stupid. Like, that's really funny to me. You can tell how if he's on or not just by being how stupid he is, and he's worked that for a dot ball, and now Stark will have to face the next over. But yeah, it was really funny yesterday. Smith and Marnus, they just came in. I mean, Marnus had already been in for a considerable length of time, but Smith, he just came in and he was just dancing around the crease. He was doing the flicky of the arm sort of thing after his batting. Like, it's weird that you can just tell that with Smith when he's on and when he's going to make runs, because he's looked completely comfortable this whole innings, and it's and although he's like sort of come close a couple of times, it's really reminded me of the Ashes last year, where they just felt like he was always on the verge of getting out, but at the same time he wasn't close at all. It's good to have Steve Smith back in the runs. Hopefully he doesn't get dismissed for 99. I think that'd be the first time in an SAG test that's ever happened. So let's hope for his sake that doesn't happen. I think that'll just about do it. Thanks, guys. Play it through.